on 12 and 13, ask you to do a couple of things. First of all, I ask you to find the inverse function. So, to find the inverse, we switch x and y. So x equals y minus 1 squared plus 4. And then we solve for y. So, if you had normally plugged in, you would first subtract 1, then you would square it, then you would add 4. So we're going to do that in reverse order. So we're going to bring the 4 over first. X minus 4 equals y minus 1 squared. Then we're going to get rid of the squared by taking the square root. So this is plus or minus square root of x minus 4 equals y minus 1. Then we just have to bring the 1 over. So it's plus or minus square root of x minus 4 plus 1 on the outside equals y. Here's your inverse. Now I ask you to graph the function, which is this one, and its inverse, which is that one. Okay? So this is just a parabola. So again, this is in vertex form. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So if we put our vertex, which is 1, 4, in the middle of our chart, because again, it's the opposite of the h and it's the k. 2 smaller, 2 larger. Plug in some points. Let's plug in the positive ones. 2 minus 1 is 1, squared is 1, plus 4 is 5, which by symmetry, this has to be 5. Then plug in 3. 3 minus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Again, if you don't want to do that, you can take your calculator, plug in your equation, x minus 1 squared plus 4. Hit graph. Look for your vertex. Looks like it's about 1, 4. Go to your table of values. Put 1, 4 in the middle of your chart. And look, that chart matches my chart. Okay? So, we're now able to plot our points. So at negative 1, we're at positive 8. At 0, we're at positive 5. At 1, we're at 4. At 2, we're at 5. And at 3, we're at 8. So here is the original function. Now we want the inverse. Well, if you feel good about that one, the inverse function should be, this is x, this is y. These should be your x's, these should be your y's. So this should be 8, 5, 4, 5, 8. This should be negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 5. And we can check that on your calculator. If we go to y equals, and we plug in the square root. Now we're going to have to plug this in as 2 separate square roots. Let's do the positive first. Square root of x minus 4 plus 1. And then below it, in y2, let's do the negative square root of x minus 4 plus 1. Let's go to the table of values. Okay. So what happens here? At 4, looks like we're at 1 for both positive and negative cases. Okay. At 5, we're at 2 and at 0. We're at 5, 0, 5, 2. At 8, looks like we're at 3 and negative 1. Why are we at 3 and negative 1? Do I have a mistake? Oh no, here we are. Because I wrote this wrong. This is a 3. Okay? 3, 8, 8, 3. So this is 3 and negative 1. Okay? So now we're able to plot these points. So at x is 8, we're at negative 1. At 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're at 0. At 4, we're at positive 1. At 5, again, we're up at positive 2. And at 8, we're at positive 3. Okay. So there's the inverse. This one's the inverse, and this is the original function. Okay, that's the function, that's the inverse. Okay? If we drew in the perfect diagonal line, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, you can see these are mirror images of each other. Okay? So that's question 12. Okay. On 13, again, let's find the inverse. X equals y squared minus 3. Solve for y, so this is x plus 3 equals y squared. So y equals, take the square root, it's plus or minus square root of x plus 3. Okay, so this looks like this is in vertex form. Okay, so let's take the original one. Let's actually here, let's take this, let's make a chart. Here's your x and your y. Okay, so here our vertex looks like it's 0, negative 3. Okay, which let's just go ahead and go to y equals. So here, if we plug in x squared minus 3, go to graph, it does look like it's at 0, negative 3. Go to the table of values, put 0, negative 3 in the middle of the table, and now what are our other values? Negative 1, negative 2, negative 2, positive 1, which then makes positive 1 equal to negative 2, and positive 2 equal to positive 1. Okay, so negative 2, 1, 2, we're at 1. At negative 1, we're at negative 2. At 0, we're at negative 3. At 1, we're at negative 2. And at 2, we're at positive 1. So here's your original parabola. And then the chart for that one should just be reversed. So this here, this will be this chart. So here this would be 1, negative 2, this would be negative 2, negative 1, this would be negative 3, 0, this would be negative 2, 1, and this would be 1, 2. So if we plot those points, at 1, we're at negative 2, at negative 2, negative 2, 1, 2, we're at negative 1. At negative 3, we're at 0. At negative 2, we're also at positive 1. And then at positive 1, we're also at positive 2. So, there's your graphs. They're just overlapping.
At this time, we will transition from block 2 to block 3.